Health Information Portability and Accountability Act, that they got.
Yeah.
HIPAA, they did not.
You're listening to the Help Me with HIPAA podcast, where HIPAA and humor collide to make learning fun. Your delightful hosts are Donna Grindle and David Sims. Relax, HIPAA help is on the way.
This is Abigail from Arthritis and Rheumatology in Atlanta, Georgia, and you are listening to the Help Me with HIPAA podcast.
Thank you for that intro. I am David Sims of HIPAA for MSPs and Security First IT. Joining me is the real Donna Grindle of Cardin.
The real one. It is really me, even though it doesn't sound like it.
That's why I had to preface it with the real one, because you sound horrible.
I had a good time, man.
So for the listeners, it's not that you're sick or had a bad night out. you have been you've been at a conference and you've been talking apparently a lot.
I did have a few nights out because it's a conference.
Yeah. So apparently it went quite well, and of course the thing about these conferences that, like, when you go out, there's all this discussion to be had, but you're always in this loud environment. So you have to yell the entire night, which is probably why you sound the way you do.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I started Sunday morning teaching a 4-hour session on Sunday morning, and then the reception started on Sunday night, which of course ended up at the hotel bar. And then, all day Monday, talking to everybody. And yeah, you're in that. We exhibited for the first time at the Society for OMS Administrators. Shout out to all you guys. It was awesome. They're awesome to deal with, work with. It was great. And all day Monday, all day Tuesday, good bit of the day Wednesday, we're talking to people.
Mm-hmm.
Then, yeah, eventually, I start to crap out.
Yeah. Yeah. And after a while, it just goes away. So it's funny that, you called me yesterday and about the podcast, and I was like, who is this? And of course, before we started recording this morning, I have to poke fun at you as much as I can. So I'll probably do it during the podcast as well.
Bring it, brother. Bring it.
So, but we will try to hurry up so that we can get you before you lose your voice.
Before it goes away again.
Yeah. So we do want to mention that we have the next installment of the HIPAA Boot Camp coming up. This is session 2, and they are not, not that you have to go to session 1. They are independent. But May 15, 16, and 17, we have the next HIPAA Boot Camp. Early bird pricing for that ends April 23rd, which is...
We did extend it because we had a couple of administrative issues.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, there were some issues. The webpage was telling people it was closed, even though if you click the button, it still worked. It was just a timing thing. It's the first time we did those back to back. So there were a little bit of confusion. So we've extended it a little bit.
All right. So you have more of a chance now to get a good deal on that. And so far, this, unless something changes, this might be the last one of the year, maybe. So you might want to get in there. I wouldn't take a chance at it.
Yeah. Well, it's that we got to come up with some way to guarantee a number of attendees on a West Coast version for us to go out there. Otherwise, and the rate that I'm starting to, get requests for fall speaking gigs, it could get too complicated. So,
right.
Definitely want to hit this one if you want to come to one. And, it is great work, great fun, and good information. It's the best deal you can get for this kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And of course, this go round, it's going to be like the last one we had. We're going to have that third day in there, which I thought was highly valuable for the attendees.
Yeah.
I mean, they've
gotten some great feedback on it.
Yeah. I mean, we had, I pretty much took the kind of a ransomware approach, obviously being in IT. And I honestly believe too, that it's probably the most prevalent thing that can happen when you start looking at instant response. What are you most likely to have to respond to? And a cyber incident is probably very, very, very high on the list. So
Yeah. So if you do the ransomware, you're covering most things.
right. And the cool thing about it is as I was helping these groups figure out their ransomware response plan, the cool thing about it is I said, okay, now that you have this plan together, you can take these modules out of certain parts of it and you can slide them into your next type of response plan, because some of these things are going to be similar to your next one. And you can kind of pull these modules out and put it in the next one. And then you're halfway there already.
Yeah. Now we have the response plan, and then that's the master information. And then you have specifics in the playbooks,
Mm-hmm.
and we help you build the playbooks and policies and procedures. And we may have another surprise guest on the end of the day on Friday. We haven't gotten it booked yet, so we'll keep it quiet. But
I know what it is. I know what it is.
Stay tuned. We should know by the next episode that we definitely have it. So
Yeah.
anyway, bring it.
Yeah. So it's I'm trying to keep it under wraps, but it's kind of one of those things where you kind of get all giddy. Oh, look, we might have a special guest.
Yeah, that's right. It'll be fun.
Yeah. So today we're going to dive into a topic that we talked about like 2 years ago originally. And we discussed,
Believe it or not.
I know, 2 years. Oh my gosh. So we went down this whole rabbit hole about Alexa, the Amazon Alexa device and HIPAA and what all that entailed, because, we were hearing about doctors' offices putting in the Alexa devices and playing music and all that, and how kind of bad that is. Really, you need to think about what that thing's able to do. So we had that conversation then, and I'm sure we'll dive back into some of that now. But as of yesterday, Amazon comes out and says, guess what? Alexa is now HIPAA compliant. And of course, all of our...
Well, that's what the headline said.
Right.
That's not what Amazon said.
Oh, yeah, true. So, as the headlines are coming in, I'm sending you messages and we're getting emails, and I'm sure other people are sending you messages like, look at this, check this out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we definitely want to dive into this, because you and I both know the headlines is not always the story.
Correct. And most people don't read that part, unfortunately. You know what I'm saying?
No, we're definitely we're a headline driven society now. Like, we don't read the news, we read the headlines, and then we make our determination of what the article is based off the one sentence headline. That's it.
Yeah. That's how it works. So people that don't know the difference, you could read what Amazon published and go with, hey, yay, because they don't know the difference. So it's certainly not malicious. It's people that don't understand the difference. And
Yeah.
in most cases. So
Yeah, headlines there to get you to
before we do
read.
that, I have to do a funny story though. The funny story that I sent you because of your robot vacuum cleaner.
Right. Yeah. So I have one of the Roombas that, my wife loves it. You turn it on and walk away, and it rolls around the house and, vacuums. So
Yeah. And the dog pounces on it and all this kind of
yeah,
stuff.
the dog knows how to turn it off. So.
But I see in the news that this woman calls 911 that she has a home invader. She can see she's in the bathroom and she's seeing something moving around on the outside of the door, under the door. She sees the shadow of something moving around, and she calls 911 because, everybody has the phone in the toilet these days. It used to be a luxury at a hotel. But now, and turns out it was her vacuum cleaner. Her Roomba had gone rogue and wandered into an area it wasn't supposed to.
That's,
So
yeah.
She thought it was somebody moving around outside her bathroom. Nope, it's a Roomba. So it just made me laugh so hard.
Yeah. And the thing about it is these are vacuum cleaners. They're noisy. So it's not like, it's not like there's a shadow with no noise moving back and forth. I mean, these things are like making lots of racket. I don't get it.
I don't know. I got to read the story more, but she called 911 over a rogue Roomba. And, there's many questions, and I haven't found an article that answers them all yet, but, I'm going to follow it.
Yeah. Well,
But it just is telling of us getting used to living with these smart devices.
mhm.
This device found a floor that it thought it needed to deal with. So it did.
Yeah.
And she scared her to death. Well, we won't say that, but it did scare her enough to call 911.
Might have
And,
scared the crap out of her.
oh, yuck.
Couldn't resist.
It was there. You had to use it. So, but it's just really indicative of how, these devices are great and everybody loves them, but then they don't really think through, what does this really mean that I'm doing? What does this really mean? What am I letting in the house? And clearly they had gotten to the point where they didn't even notice the thing, which is part of the reason she ended up calling 911.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly brings us back around to Alexa and all of our concerns about her that started back in episode 117. So this is 201,
Yeah.
117. We're going to have to go back and figure out if our opinions changed much on stuff.
Yeah, I think we do a pretty decent job when something changes. We tend to kind of try to come back around to it and discuss that.
Yeah. So in our original analysis, we had some concerns, but before we go there, I want to say I love the thing. I love the concept of the voice activated devices. It's not just Alexa. There's Google Home and Apple HomePod. Now, granted, the Apple device works differently than the other two, and Apple just got late to the game on that one, so I don't know if it's ever going to become, maybe in this environment, it's where it'll find its niche. But when it comes to what all they can do, just to be able to say out loud something, Alexa, what's the forecast for tomorrow? Alexa, what time does such and such come on? When is so-and-so playing? And, add this to my order. And I mean, it's so cool.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I told this in one of the other episodes, but I was being funny one time. And so I walked up and I have one of the Alexa devices, even though I think it's unplugged at the moment. Usually I plug it in when I want to use it and then unplug it, so it's not plugged up all the time. So anyways, being funny, I holler out, Alexa, order me some marijuana or something like that. And it says, we have added that to your Amazon shopping cart. I was like, what? So I'm like rushing to Amazon, checking my cart. I'm like, I hope to God I didn't order something like that.
And what would it do? And how would it do it, right?
I know. I was freaking out because I was trying to be funny. And it was like, okay, we added it to your shopping cart.
See, now that you said that, now I have to go check on my in-laws because they have two in the house. They have one in the den and one back in the bedroom because she's bedridden, and they love the ability to play music on it.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get to a certain age, your music is never on anywhere, and we have it set up so that whatever song comes to mind,
Oh yeah,
they just, they're able to say, play this. And the way it lights them up and makes them so happy to connect with this thing that obviously, music is the soundtrack of your life.
Mm-hmm.
And they just light up about whatever, they think of. And so she's got one right next to the bed, and then there's one in the den. And they tell it to remind them to take their meds, and she'll, pop in and say, hey, go do this, or, it's time to take this somewhere, or what's the forecast, or when is something on TV. But the music is what is really nice for them. Now, there is an issue that for some reason they can't remember her name. So
that's funny.
we had to write it in huge letters and tape it up near her in the bedroom. And, but apparently they were arguing with her, calling her Aliva for a while. And so you do have those issues, and you can. I offered to change the trigger word to something else. No, we'll never remember that. We can't remember this. So
just change it to Bo. Hey, Bo.
I know, right? So, but the value of it, do I love the concept? Oh, I really, really, really would love to have the convenience of having one in my house and then like be able to, connect some lights to it and all of that kind of stuff. Cause I get so excited. I really, really, really would love to have one.
Mhm.
Do I have one? No, not until some of these concerns are addressed. I mean, they've got some great features, but I got concerns.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, come on. We talked about in our episode, the thing was subpoenaed in a murder trial because they wanted to hear if it heard anything during the party that precipitated the murder. It did that creepy laugh thing.
Yeah, I never could get mine to do that, though.
Yeah. Well, I think they went way out of their way because people had this thing, it would just randomly do this really creepy laugh. But then the one that really got my attention was when it sent a recorded conversation. This couple, they were talking about like remodeling their house, like hardwood floors or something.
Mm-hmm.
And it records that and then sends it to this, random person in their contact list. It was like somebody that works with the guy. It sends them the entire recording of their conversation.
Oh, yeah, that's not cool.
And they get a call that says, unplug Alexa right now. You must have been hacked.
Huh.
And no, they weren't. Alexa just made a mistake.
Hmm.
But their entire conversation was recorded and emailed to somebody without them even knowing it. If that person hadn't called, or imagine if that person's email was hacked. I mean, there's so many ifs.
Oh, yeah. And we're talking, we're talking in home environments. So imagine having that in a medical environment, a healthcare environment.
Where there's so many different things being said and so many discussions happening.
Mm-hmm.
So, they're really, what they're doing though is that the announcement, I love the one, Alexa, can you spell HIPAA?
Yeah, we can't even get people at HIMSS to spell HIPAA.
I know, right? You have to tell them that. We'll have to put that link there.
Yeah, I stumbled across a HIMSS article yesterday. Not stumbled, I was looking for the article, but it shocked me that in more than one time in the article, they spell out HIPAA, the entire acronym, they spell it out properly, but then they use the acronym.
Well, they say the
misspelling.
whole
Right.
health information, and then they put in parentheses, HIPAA.
Yeah, HIPPA. And I'm like, how do you do that? How do you get the hard part right?
I know, right?
But yeah, and then these are big wigs. This is HIMSS. How do you misspell HIPAA? I don't know.
Yeah, in two places after you've typed out the whole thing. So, Health Information Portability and Accountability Act, that they got.
Yeah.
HIPAA, they did not. So, yeah. But what the announcement says, it's talking about that it has HIPAA compliant data transfers, and it uses statements like skills are now operating in HIPAA eligible environment.
Oh, HIPAA eligible.
Yeah. So none of that says that Alexa is HIPAA compliant.
Right.
None of that. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so now we're going to have to battle that because that's very different than what they're saying. And, our biggest issue is the way the thing works.
Right.
And there's nothing in here that says that it works differently. It takes the recordings and figures out, oh, I think I heard you trigger me. So I'm going to capture this chunk of recording of audio, whatever I can pick up. No, whether it's in the background, doesn't matter. I'm going to pick up this chunk of audio that's around where I thought you said my name, and I'm going to send it to the Amazon servers, and then those servers will process it and decide what to do next. But it keeps it there. It keeps it there.
Right.
That's the part we don't like. Is there anything else I'm missing there?
No, not that I can think of, but there are some concerns about when it's listening for its name. So is it storing that information locally, and then after it hears its name, it's going to the cloud, or how's that working?
No, it doesn't process anything internally. The Apple HomePod decides whether to send it to the cloud first. It actually has processing capability built into it where it hears it, it processes it, makes sure that you're talking to it and then sends it. The Google Home and Alexa, unless something's changed, and I haven't seen anything that says it's changed, both of them don't have the processing power built in. That's why they're tiny, the Echo Dot and stuff. But they send them to, the cloud to do the processing.
Right.
And we'll get into that and the implications of that in just a second in a way more scary way. But also it has a feature called drop-in.
Okay.
And you can set it up so that you can say, Alexa, drop in on the den. Alexa, drop in on the basement.
Eavesdrop.
And listen to what's going on and talk to people. So it works like an intercom system. I can even configure it so that I can drop in from the app into the in-laws' rooms. We can configure it so that it can call us on our cell phones. They keep forgetting that it will. But I have it so that they can just say, Alexa, call Donna, and it will. And so there's a lot of other things that you can do with it that are also concerns. And it just if it calls me, you could say, call me, and then as someone's walking in the room, I'm listening to the entire conversation, everything that's happening in the room. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that is kind of concerning.
And everybody's like, oh, well, you just look over and see if the blue thing's lit up.
Yeah.
How many people think about doing that?
Yeah, that's almost like, the times where you thought you hung up the phone and you didn't.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, those are always good, aren't they?
Yeah, and then you realize you shouldn't have said something you said.
And you're frantically like, what'd I say? What'd I say? What'd I say?
It's like, oh, God, they heard me call them a whatever.
Yeah, I'm always careful not to hang up and say something about somebody. I hang up and go on to something else. I'm just not one of those people anyway. So, but anyway, here it is. There's a lot of scary things this thing can do. That drop in alone that I can, from the app, drop in on their house. If I wanted to configure it that way, I could do it. And if I have control of it, I can configure all these things. And we already know about how well people are at setting up passwords and protections on access to devices.
Oh, yeah. It doesn't happen.
No. And it's not hard to connect to these things and do whatever you want to with them.
Right.
It's pretty cool. But they make it easy on purpose. And then on the backside of that, what do we know about security? It's not convenient.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the official beginning part of the announcement that everybody made. Everybody say, oh, HIPAA's, Alexa's now HIPAA compliant. It said, we're excited to announce that Alexa Skills Kit now enables select covered entities and their business associates subject to the U.S. Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act of 1996, which they then properly said HIPAA, to build Alexa skills that transmit and receive protected health information as part of an invite-only program.
Oh, yeah. That's a lot different than we're HIPAA compliant.
Exactly. And so, first of all, with the invite-only thing, there's a lot of back-end details we can't see, because we're not part of that. So, there could be some other things we learn, but when you think about, people don't understand what Alexa skill is. So, you can create something, because you can say things to Alexa that she doesn't understand. So you could say things like, Alexa, mop the floor, and she'll have some sort of pithy comment usually. And you could say, Alexa, what do you think of Siri? And she goes, I like all AI. But tell me a joke and all those kind of things. She knows all these variable things, but you can create a skill that you can say something and that will do things.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what developers are doing on the back end here. So when it comes to being able to turn the lights on and off, the companies that build those, like the Philips Hue and all this kind of stuff, where they're network connected lights, they built a skill that says, okay, when I say this, the Amazon server is going to know to send this information over to this web API, advanced, this web program that will then talk to your smart home skills, your smart home tools like your lights, and it tells them what to do. But it still starts at the Amazon services where it evaluates the skill, sends it over to the other service, just like you opened the app and went to the other service. Does that make any sense?
Yep, I'm following you.
Oh, good. So if I, as a developer, wanted to create a skill, I would download the skill kit and I would build these connections that go to my services that I got on my website that you could use an app to access. Well, then I'll just let Alexa be that app.
Mm-hmm.
And I just write the back end so that, okay, when you tell Alexa this, then this is what's going to happen. So if I say, Alexa, lock the back door, it would connect to the security system if I built the skill, and it would lock my back door.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome, right?
Yeah, so far.
Yeah. So what they're saying is they can build something like, Alexa, find me a doctor. And it can be connected to, you can load the skill from your insurance company, which then they're a covered entity because they are covering you. So you can load this skill that comes from your insurance company. And when you say, Alexa, find me a doctor, it will then go look at your plan and, it'll ask you questions about what you need. And then it'll so you want me to make you an appointment or call this number or whatever. Great, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it works the same way. You find me a doctor, it goes to the Amazon servers. Then it sends it over to the insurance company, and the insurance company processes it, comes back to Amazon. Amazon asks you a question based on what it's doing. So it's like that little translator in between.
Right. But
Makes complete sense.
But it also is concerning where the data is going. So it's going in and going out and coming back in and going. It's going all over the place.
Right. And that's where HIPAA comes in. Because what they say is, remember where it said first that we have HIPAA compliant data transfers.
Okay.
Well, a HIPAA compliant data transfer means it's encrypted end to end.
Right.
With industry standard encryption.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I would kind of hope all of them are that way, but we're not going to go there, right?
Yeah, that's another rabbit hole.
Yeah, I know, right? So they're saying, okay, all of our data transfers meet HIPAA requirements. So whenever you as a provider or a skill builder do these transmissions, they're going to meet HIPAA standards for security. So you can document that in your documentation. Check. Got it.
Mm-hmm.
And so most of these Amazon skills run under either your own, it goes to Amazon and then immediately goes over to your server, or you build your server and it would more than likely, as you and I know, be faster responses if you put it on the AWS or the Amazon Web Services, right?
Right.
So a lot of times it's going to make more sense to put it on the Amazon Web Services so it'll be much faster instead of going to your server. And they have the AWS Lambda services, which is where most of these skills that are out there reside now. And apparently they've made another version of that. It's hard to tell exactly what they're calling it, but they call it the HIPAA eligible environment.
Yeah, I don't know. Every business is HIPAA eligible, right?
Right.
As long as you do all these things you're supposed to do.
I know. So it's not really clear what that means. But basically, they're saying, look, we have an environment, a little server area that does all of that management of the skill. And that is HIPAA eligible. And it's like us saying it can be used in a HIPAA compliant manner.
Right.
The apps themselves give you the ability to use them as a HIPAA compliant application. It's up to how you use it. So this HIPAA eligible environment must be some, version of that Lambda services where those skills sit for that conversation bit where Amazon's in the middle.
Yeah. This kind of reminds me a little bit of the discussion about HIPAA compliant backup. So you have your IT provider, they're coming in and there's look, we're providing you with HIPAA compliant backup, or maybe you want to call it HIPAA eligible backup. But what they're not saying, or they're not addressing, is the HIPAA compliance of the IT company, or is the backup configured properly and all that? Because it's not.
Is it tested?
Right. It's not really HIPAA compliant. It can be used in a HIPAA compliant manner depending on how it's set up. We've seen this over and over recently with misconfigured servers, right?
Yep. It's how you use the tools that makes it HIPAA compliant. It can be used in a HIPAA compliant manner. The tool itself is not HIPAA compliant.
Right.
In almost every case. I mean, I can't think of something, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, HIPAA compliance is not something that is assigned to a product or service. It's a company. Is the company doing something or doing things around HIPAA as a whole, but the product can be used in a way to support the HIPAA compliance program within that company.
Yeah. There you go. Get it, brother.
Boom. Yeah. I learned that at the boot camp.
So now you see, I hope, but we've done some job of explaining our technical concerns about this, because it still has to go through Amazon somewhere. And we know the way it works. It stores that information. And they'll tell you, oh, well, you have the ability to erase it and all of this. Well, I've got a whole new list of concerns about how that's going to happen.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's just so many questions I don't have answered, which is the whole reason I still don't have one, even though I might break down and have one do what you do, where I just plug it in. But then it seems like it's just still a hassle. It's like, hey, I got to go tap you on your shoulder to do something.
Yeah. We don't use it very often. I think we just plug it in and play with it from time to time. Usually I'll do something like, for instance, I have the Amazon and the Google Home. I have them both. And I do the same thing with both, which is I don't leave them plugged in, but I may plug one in if I'm outside washing the car. So I'll plug it in and use it as an outdoor speaker. Or if I'm cooking, I may plug one in and say, you know, read me the recipe, and it'll do step by step. It'll say, do this. And then when you're ready, say you're ready, and I'll give you the next step. And so it's pretty cool with cooking.
It's got some great stuff. I mean, I love the concept.
Mm-hmm.
And it is, but you know what? I got a Bluetooth speaker that I take outside and play from my phone to the Bluetooth speaker. It's no different than what you're doing.
You can do that, but that is so 5 minutes ago.
But I do see the value in the applications that they're doing, where they ask, oh, the kid's sick, and tell me what to do. And, you know, just think about the parents when you were, especially with all four of yours, everybody getting sick, and knowing what to do with all of them when you were but a wee young father.
Yeah.
There would have been times would have been great to say, you know, Alexa, you know, this one's throwing up and that one's coughing his head off. What do I do?
Mm-hmm.
Although my guess is with all of them that age at the same time, generally when you got a disease, it went through all of them it's the same way.
Yeah, a lot of times it did.
That was fun.
Yeah. Just put everybody in the room and let's get it over with.
Once one of them gets sick, you just go ahead and make them give it to the other.
Yep.
There's no sense in quarantining their kids. But, I mean, there's some great things that they've rolled out in these 6 new skills and the way they've rolled them out. But until I see answers to that middle part, which I haven't been able to read about yet, because it's invite only and nobody invited me to the party. But I didn't ask for an invitation either. So that was really cool. And everybody's got these great headlines about this.
I'll call Jeff and see if I can get you in there.
Okay. Yeah, your bud.
Now that he's divorced, he might have a little bit more time.
A little less money, a little more time.
I don't know that he'll miss it.
I know, right?
Yeah.
At what point is there enough, you know? But the big thing here is that there's some misperception. It's as always with HIPAA. about what it's saying and the HIPAA compliance. And now I'm going to have doctors who want to, well, it's HIPAA compliant now. I can put it in and do whatever I want. No,
Right. And
that's not what they're saying.
right. And that's all they're going to read is it's HIPAA compliant, and that's it. They're not going to consider anything else around that, and they're just going to start using it.
Right. You know, it just because it says that doesn't mean you don't do a risk analysis and evaluate what you're using it for. And, you know, most of these are consumer facing skills. So again, it's going to be the skills that you're using it for where the PHI is being transmitted. They're saying if you're using these skills, it meets those requirements. But nobody's explained to me if I put that in a treatment area or in a hospital room or, you know, now what? Right? And who has access to that thing? Who can do the drop in? Who can set it up so that, you know, it makes a call and, you know, we're recording stuff, and there's so many risks that need to be evaluated.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I would love it if we could figure out how we could feel comfortable with the security of these things.
Well, it's probably going to be similar to any other device on your network. It's not a matter of setting it up to work properly. It's a matter of setting it up to not do certain things.
Yeah, to secure it properly.
Yeah, because most of these items, they come to you kind of wide open, right? They want, you know, we want everything to work, so we just turn everything on and open all the doors up, and then it's up to you to figure out which doors you want to close. And,
Yeah,
and
that's
that's
right.
and that's where it doesn't happen. You know, they don't change the default usernames and passwords, which isn't it California or somewhere they're talking about making these devices have different usernames and passwords for
Unique ones.
yeah, for every single device. But that's, you know, there again, it goes back to, are you getting IT involved to come in and secure these devices and then set up policies and procedures around the proper usage of these to ensure the security is in place?
You got it, brother. You got it. So that was big news. Everybody's talking about Amazon, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in the same week,
Roller coaster.
Bloomberg breaks this story, and I love it. I mean, like the CNN headline that got my attention, because I've been watching all of the discussions about the HIPAA stuff, trying to see if I can find more details about, you know, how the skills work and all this kind of stuff. So then I see one that says, Amazon reportedly employs thousands of people to listen to your Alexa conversations.
Yeah, and then you just throw your hands up and like, I'm done.
Yeah. It's like, okay, great. You know, it's within a week of them talking about it being HIPAA compliant, then we learned they're paying people to listen to it. And not just, you know, we're talking thousands of people in the United States, Costa Rica, and Romania.
But I'm sure they're HIPAA eligible employees.
And it's full-time workers and contractors.
Mm-hmm. Now they're HIPAA
Okay.
eligible business associates.
And they work shifts that last up to 9 hours and listen to as many as 1,000 audio clips per shift.
That's just a painful job.
Of course, they say they're described as, quote, mundane and even sometimes, quote, possibly criminal, including listening to a potential sexual assault.
Ouch. Or
So if you're hearing that, it's not like somebody saying, hey, Alexa, you know, listen to what's going on.
yeah, or some dude putting marijuana in his shopping cart.
Yeah. And then panicking.
I know.
Yeah. So, but Amazon, and this was one of the things that they don't explicitly tell you when you're an Alexa user that it employs people to listen to you. You just assume it's all computers.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a section, you know, in their FAQ, their frequently asked questions section.
Mm-hmm.
Says, quote, request to Alexa to train our speech recognition and natural language understanding systems.
All righty.
It does mention that that's what it does, but it doesn't go that when you read that request to Alexa to train our speech recognition and natural language understanding systems. That made me go right away. Well, clearly they're listening.
Yeah, but you still don't think it's people listening.
I know, right? You still think about it being a computer. So you can opt out
Okay.
to improve the privacy, and that's in the privacy section. But most people never even knew it was there. I just assumed somebody's listening with this thing, clearly, because I won't even let it in the house. I'm assuming somebody somewhere is listening to everything you say.
Wow.
I feel like putting one of those in the house is kind of like saying, okay, somebody in a van somewhere's got headphones on, listen to everything like you see in the movies.
I feel that way about my phone, my smartphone.
Yeah.
Especially whenever I'm talking to my wife about, maybe a vacation or something, then I start seeing all these ads for that vacation spot that I've not yet Googled. I'm like,
It's listening.
I know, but
Yeah.
I think
I worry about how much, those listen, but these are designed to listen.
I know, and they're telling you they're listening.
Yeah. So these auditors, as they call them, supposedly, this is what I loved. Here we get into why PHI isn't just the name and address. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So they don't have access to the full name or address.
Okay.
Great. But they do have access to the serial number and the Amazon account number associated with the device.
Which is going to give them the full name and address.
Exactly. I mean, you've got enough to, really get in trouble with it. If you want, the thing is that people forget, if I am someone with these skills and I want to do it, I will get it done.
So this is the part where you look at the 18th identifier on the list, and it pretty much says, anything else pretty much.
That's right.
So your Amazon account number could be the 18th identifier of HIPAA information.
Or your Alexa serial number.
Right. Absolutely it can. I could argue that fairly easily that it would be one of the 18 identifiers.
Yeah. So, that tracks everything back to you, and there could be recordings. This is an inevitable process that we're going to go to. And some people argue just give up on privacy.
Oh, gosh.
And there's a lot of ways. If you've ever seen the movie Enemy of the State,
Yeah.
and that was long ago, they do even more. We've known for years that is not completely back, even when that movie was made, which is absolutely intense. Will Smith movie.
Mm-hmm.
But back when that movie was made, we didn't have all the capabilities we have today.
Yeah. Or
With the phones and all that.
Go watch Snowden as well.
It gives you the heebie-jeebies, people.
I know.
So for all of those people that say, well, it doesn't matter, I've lost my ability to protect my stuff and all of that, you need to see some of those things to see how much that really can impact your life, as well as some of these people who've had these horrible things happen to them.
Mm-hmm.
The identity theft, the medical identity theft, the invasion of privacy by on social media. They're in the middle of a divorce. Horrible things. People announcing stuff at family dinners, and that was your deep, dark secret. Yes, everyone's got a secret. And if that secret gets out, how you going to feel about it? Because that's where you're going, peeps.
Mm-hmm. Scary.
So I love that. Oh, she's HIPAA compliant. And oh, by the way, thousands of people are listening to thousands of clips every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is scary. And so all of this to say, I don't know that we've changed our opinion since, 2 years ago.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
No, not yet. They are working on it, which it's cool. And, you brought it up earlier, so it's worth kind of, saying again that this conversation is not about the Google competitor or the Apple competitor. So, if you have the Google Home or you're using Google Assistant, which is, built into my phone, these are not covered by Google's business associate agreement, and Google will sign a BAA, but not for this. So we can pretty much stop the conversation right there. They're not HIPAA compliant. So we don't even need to go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah. There's a lot of people that don't understand that, that you can use Google and Microsoft Office, the G Suite and Office 365 under a business associate agreement in a HIPAA compliant manner.
Yep. It all depends on how it's set up.
But not the free stuff.
Correct.
Free for free. You get what you pay for.
For free.
Except Except, of course, when you get your free training from Help Me with HIPAA.
This is true because it is free.
If you don't like it, triple your money back.
Absolutely.
Which is a good place for us to remind everybody it is free. So what should they do?
They should, at the least, they should share it out, follow us on social media, and rate us on the podcasting app. Look, we need your help. Dude, we give you something for free. All we ask is for a little bit of clicking. You click on everything else you shouldn't be clicking on. You can click on us.
That or just tell two people.
Yeah.
Tell two people. Hopefully they'll tell two people.
Yep.
That, hey, if you're thinking about using Alexa in your office, maybe you should listen to this episode. Because I can assure you what's going to happen is these covered entities and business associates, they're going to do it. And then something's going to happen. And there's going to be a failure. And they're going to be left out, hanging in the wind.
Mm-hmm.
They'll be we're going to make an example out of you people.
Yep. This is true. So, put us around the water cooler and discuss this. All right. Well, that was a good episode there. I mean, a lot of things to consider.
Yeah. And you thought we couldn't make it be a full episode.
I should have known. All right, folks. I'm glad Donna held out and didn't crash on us. So good job, Donna.
We're rocking it. How about that voice sticking with us?
Good job. All right. So this is it. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Remember, for Donna and myself, that HIPAA is not about compliance. It's about patient care.
You've been listening to the Help Me with HIPAA podcast, hosted by Donna Grindle and David Sims. The show created to help you with HIPAA. For more information or to ask us a question, visit our website at helpmewithhipaa.com. Neither Donna Grindle or David Sims are attorneys, and they do not offer binding legal advice concerning regulatory compliance. The information in this podcast should not be relied upon or construed as legal advice in any way. Consult your attorney for legal advice concerning compliance with HIPAA regulations.